BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Chrism. I'd like to welcome you to a conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. I'd like to welcome. Yeah. Pick up if you're there.
Hello, Chrism. Hi, Chrism. Can you hear me?
Room. We'll have
Hi, Chrism. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Chrism. You're not coming in. I cannot hear you at all. I am not sure if listeners can hear. I'm just after asking Eileen, and she says she cannot hear you. So you're very garbled. Can you hear me as I'm speaking? Oh, now everything has gone silent.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Chrism, I can't hear you at all. I'm going to ask, can the people in the chat room please, that are logged in, and we have a few, could somebody please type in and let us know if you can hear Chrism. John isn't in the other room, Chrism, so I have no idea. Could we bring Eileen on and ask her? Eileen?
Hello. Yes.
Hi, Eileen. Can you hear Chrism?
I can hear him, but he's all garbled. I cannot understand what he's saying. Sounds like a foreign language. You are coming in very clear. You are coming in very clear.
Yeah, I unfortunately, I cannot hear what he is saying either. He's after going blue now, which means that his mic is on mute. So he is perhaps trying to fix that even as we speak. So, here he is. Hello, Chrism. Oh, I think that might be better. Hello, Chrism.
Thank you.
No.
For holding the fort there, ladies. Okay. Yeah. Do the show.
What I'm actually hearing is a huge echo, Chrism. I cannot hear you at all. I'm going to make the announcement if you want to check and see if you can fix it. And if that would...
Do the show. Yeah. You do the show.
I think you're saying do the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I shall attempt to do something with the show. So all of the listeners who are listening, Okay. Okay. Well, I will begin by making just the announcement that I usually make at the beginning of the show. And that is the place that you can go to if you would like to make a donation to support the work that Chrism does with Kundalini Awakening Systems. He does this work on here, obviously on the radio show, and also in other venues, which perhaps he has already given out addresses for. So where you can go is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and there you will see the donate button. The title for today's show is Metabolism and the Kundalini, and that's very interesting because in terms of a person who is going through a Kundalini process myself and who is in the middle of that process, I suppose I don't think of it in terms of metabolism and the Kundalini. I'm rather taken up with the different things that actually occur to me and occur for me in my process. And one of the very first things that would have been a huge reality for me would have been the effect of on my kidneys and my adrenals. And during my awakening, before I had my awakening event, I was actually in a process, in a Kundalini activation process, and I had no idea about Kundalini. I didn't know that, the Kundalini, when it reaches the kidneys and the adrenals, that a person can experience actual sensations of their kidneys in their bodies. I didn't understand that. I didn't know that the kidneys could enlarge and all of the things that I can speak a little bit more about. And so for me, during the activation stage, I had no clue what was going on. Yes, a person can feel the kidneys enlarge. The kidneys can become very painful and sore. And, I can remember a time when I actually considered that I was having kidney stones, that there was something seriously wrong with my kidneys. And Chrism describes, I think he uses the word hyperactivity of the organs in relation to the kidneys and the adrenals, because this is what the Kundalini infusion can actually cause to happen. And the hormones that are involved in the kidneys, in the adrenals actually, well, with the infusion, the hormones pour into the body. And if you don't know, like as I didn't know when I was in my activation what was going on, this can be absolutely terrifying because there is no reason for this to occur. It just happens. Okay, so the hormones are pouring into the body, and what happens with adrenaline. You begin to feel your heart pumping, and the heart rate increases, and the breath gets extremely tight, and gosh, that cold sweat. There's absolutely nothing like this, really. It's horrendous, and I suppose in a Kundalini context, those are all amplified, and it's really, really accelerated. And so all those feelings are about fight and flight, the fight and flight feeling. And if you don't know or understand what's going on, the fear of what is going on is also amplified. And this is what happens for many people. I mean, I spent years and years having symptoms of panic attacks, and really there was no reason for me to have panic attacks. I can remember the body starting to behave in this way. And at the beginning, I would be there going, what's this about? I would feel the heart rate increase. I would feel all these things happening. And then I would feel the fear begin to come in. So once you get information, once you get information about what is going on, that changes everything, because the fear was the most difficult thing for me to deal with before I had this information. When the panic attacks would come out of the blue, and when the fear was so amplified. And for me, this used to happen particularly at night, when I was alone. And I think I was saying recently I think it was on Facebook, that before I knew anything about the Kundalini, something that helped me was what's it called? Cognitive behavioral therapy. It's about, changing my thinking around what was happening and trying to come into balance with what was going on in my body. But when you get the information about what is going on in a Kundalini context, it is much, much easier to come into balance, knowing that everything that is happening is actually normal within the context of a Kundalini awakening. And so information is very empowering. For example, I remember when I began to know what was happening, when I began to read Chrism's teachings, watermelon has a very, very soothing effect upon me, and drinking all that extra water. I don't understand absolutely everything that is happening in relation. I don't understand the dynamic of everything that is going on in relation to the adrenals and the kidneys and the work that the Kundalini is actually doing. Chrism understands that, so I wish he was here. But for me, I understand it in a feeling sense. I mean, I could feel the work that was being done once I began to allow myself to open to what the Kundalini was giving to me through the teachings of Chrism. Once I began to surrender to what was happening, once I began to open myself to that, I actually could feel what was occurring. I suppose for me, I have been given to listen and trust and follow the teachings, and those are the source of my own Kundalini teachings for me. So I ate the watermelon, I drank the water, I accepted those tactile sensations that were often very unpleasant and very uncomfortable, but they were accepted in surrender and trust. And as I say, while I don't understand the exact dynamic of what the Kundalini is doing, I could feel that dynamic, and I could feel, in my surrender and the agenda of the Kundalini, I could actually feel my fear in a way being filtered from me, if that makes sense. And even if it doesn't, that's how it was for me. I could feel my fear melting. I could feel it leaving my body. There was a big change that happened to me. For the first time in my life, fear was filtered and was taken from me, and I can remember feeling such gratitude for that and for understanding in a feeling sense what was actually happening, because fear had been my constant companion for so many years. And actually I have a story that, I suppose I could share with you. A lot of things went on. That went on for quite a long time, the fear and the surrender and all of that. And I know that while it's a physiological thing with Kundalini, there is also stuff going on in relation to the ego and the fears and all of that. And in a way, that phase passed for me. But very recently, and it's been since the seminar, I was traveling in my car, and there was a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on in my body again. There's a lot of heat, and there's other phases that I'm going through. But at this particular time, I was in the car for a few hours, and I was driving, and I was coming into the town that I live in, and there was a huge sensation came into my body around where my kidneys are. I began to feel them in my back. I could feel the position of where they were in my back, and I could feel them swelling. Now, this happened very dramatically, and it wasn't a gradual thing. I could actually feel where they were in my back, and it was most uncomfortable. But I knew what was occurring, and I kind of laughed a bit at it and said, hey, I thought my kidneys were done. What's going on here? And at the very same time, I had a communication from my Kundalini. I call it a whoosh, but it's a communication where my Kundalini told me, get watermelon. And again, I smiled because I know watermelon is directly given for to help with the adrenals and the kidneys. And so I smiled, but I thought, I really can't stop the car and get watermelon because I was under a little bit of pressure. But again, the communication was very strong from the Kundalini. Get the watermelon, and I could not ignore the fact that my kidneys at this stage were really, really pressing in my back, almost against, coming out of my back. So I had no choice. I actually had to surrender and, in a way, obey completely what I was being given to do. So I pulled the car in, parked in the supermarket, and I went into Tesco to get the watermelon. And I went over to where I know the watermelon is, and there's various types of melons there, such as the honeydew and various other, the gala, the green melons. And of course, there was no watermelon. And I sat there, at least I stood there in the aisle of the supermarket, and I am not joking you, I just cried. It was like the tears just poured out of me because there was no watermelon. And they just poured down my face, and I had no sense of embarrassment or anything. It was just crying because there was no watermelon. And then I stopped and I wiped away the tears, and I said, okay, come on. I haven't come in here through all this communication for there to be no watermelon. Oh, and so that was an interesting interlude. And so I then went and I spoke to a gentleman who was the assistant, and I said, do you have any watermelon? And he said, oh, it's not really watermelon season. So we have very little watermelon in the store. And then he paused and he went, 1 minute. I actually put a watermelon into the bargain basket. Come with me. And he brought me down around the aisle and around to the corner where the bargain baskets are. And he put his hand into the basket, and out from the various bags where they had, reduced prices, out he pulls out a watermelon. So I got my watermelon. And so I went and paid for it. I mean, it was just, so I'm telling you this story for two reasons. I suppose really because it just happened very recently. And for me, it was an amazing communication, again, from the Kundalini to me. It connects in absolutely how connected watermelon is with the kidneys and with the adrenals. And so I'm just sharing that story to tell you, listen to your Kundalini when it communicates with you, and no matter how inconvenient something is, follow through. And you'll actually be amazed and surprised, and it's a wonderful blessing to be communicated in that way. I'm actually looking at the switchboard here, and I'm seeing that there are two callers. So I'm going to just go straight over to one and see who we've got. Hi, caller. Hi. This is. Hi, who's this?
This is Rosemary, Amelia.
Hi, Rosemary. How are you?
I'm good, and bless you. This is courageous to take on. And I was thinking myself, as you were talking, even as I was thinking of the topic, I was interested in hearing, because I haven't had those dramatic kind of changes, I don't think. I haven't been aware of it. I do know that my energy level is much greater than it was before. And I think my concentration, my ability be focused more, like that, and those are something about metabolism in there. And it may be that, well, I think I do have more energy for things, and that might be a little bit of it, but not that dramatic.
Oh, I think it is, Rosemary. I mean, our energy levels do change. I mean, I would experience that I would sometimes be filled with energy, and other times, of course, the opposite happens. I think sleep as well would be another aspect, of metabolism. The sleep cycle, that we're affected by, our sleep cycle can be affected by the Kundalini, would you say?
I would before, and Chrism and I talked a little bit about this, and he thinks it was the Kundalini. So my experience, first introduction was 2 years ago, and for 2 years before that, my sleep has been waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to go back to sleep. And that is it's just different. And what I've done more recently since the summer is when I wake up at those times, I get up and I do my meditation time then. And then it seems that when I still have an hour or two sometimes, or 3 before it's time to get up. And when I do, I have some Kundalini experiences then, but also there are times I do get back to a deep sleep, which I didn't do before. So I don't.
Yeah.
it's still varied for me, and I notice that I have more alertness when I'm out and about and at meetings that I have to be at. I wasn't able, things just didn't hold my attention as much as they do now, and that might just be...
Chrism.
Here we are.
Can you hear us? We're going to pause, Chrism, and maybe you'd speak.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Am I being heard clearly?
A little better than you had been, but continue.
Well, I like what you understand is that there will be situations.
No, Chrism, unfortunately, Chrism, I'm not. It's as bad as it was. I'm not hearing you. Are you hearing him, Rosemary?
I'm hearing him exactly as you are, and that's how it was for me earlier also.
Unfortunately, Chrism, can I tell you, this is what you sound like. I'm going to say, hello, my name is Amelia. Welcome to BlogTalk. Hello, my name is Amelia. That's how it's sounding. Oh, he's gone again. Darn, this is unfortunate. What's unfortunate about it is because Chrism, he is so knowledgeable in all of this, Rosemary, and has got such experience and such an overview of it from so many perspectives and understands all the aspects of every single part of it. Whereas for me, and I think for you, who are still, students of the Kundalini and are still going through this process, we don't have that bigger picture. But we can talk about what it is like for us. And I mean, I think what you're saying about the alertness and what you're saying about the sleep, I think that's all part of metabolism,
Mhm.
I mean, our sleep cycle is definitely affected, Rosemary. I know that mine is and was. I know that just like you, when I came into the information again that sleep is disrupted and that there is, this golden hour that we can be called to awake by the Kundalini. And I found that this really is the case, and I do as you do. When I'm woken, I see it, I've been called to spend time with the Kundalini, and I get up and I meditate. And there are times as well when I know I'm not ready to go back to bed. My energy can be quite high after a meditation, or it's just I'm not ready to go back to sleep. And so this hasn't happened for a while, but I did go through a phase where it happened a lot. I would actually do some activity. It could be something like ironing. But I would do that I would give that also in a meditative way to my process. Does that make sense?
Yes. There is a very special time when I do that in the middle of the night. Sometimes I'm a little groggy when I first get up, but it's a practice now, so I do it. And often it's a very, very special time. I'm thinking of when I was that week with my sisters in Seattle, and I told them, and we had limited sleeping space. It was sufficient, but I requested a room by myself because I was doing this, and it was quite touching for me to be there in the middle of the night, and they were sleeping, and it was so just very quiet, and just that prayer and that meditation was it was clear. It's like clear to me, like this is who I am. I belong to Kundalini, and I could experience that, and I was able to do that every day, and it was a very quiet, very private time in a house filled with my sisters. We haven't seen each other for almost 2 years, be together, so I was very grateful, and as well to have that ability during our time together.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful, isn't it, Rosemary?
Mm.
I think what I learned for myself as well through that process of waking during the night was that, particularly earlier on when I was very busy and Kundalini didn't permeate into my life the way it does now. It was how I came to have silence and time exclusively with the Kundalini. I mean, a long period of time. I would always have done my my meditation for 21 minutes or sometimes for longer, for an hour. But this time at night was an extended time where I think Kundalini gave it to me so that I would learn exactly what you're talking about, exactly how to be with the Kundalini, and that I actually belonged to the Kundalini exactly. Sorry, Chrism has just signed out. I think we're still on air. Okay, sorry, Rosemary. My thought process went there. I'm actually, can you stay on, Rosemary? And I'm going to see who else is on the line. And if Ashley or anybody else would like to phone in and contribute about any aspects. I mean, there are other areas that people might like to speak about. There's the pineal gland, there's the thymus, the liver. What else? The thyroid. The thyroid is a big thing for a lot of people. So if anybody would like to ring in and maybe share about their metabolism and their experiences, that would be wonderful. I'm going to see who this is on the other line. I think it might be Eileen. Hi, Eileen. Is that you?
I'm on. I'm listening.
Hi,
You're doing
Eileen.
very well. Rosemary and you are doing very well. I'm enjoying it.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm smiling at Rosemary saying I'm very brave because, I didn't have, I really, there's a choice.
Right.
So, yeah. So, how about you, Eileen? What aspect could you share with us about, say, metabolism or sleep or adrenals or any?
I could say at the very beginning, when it started 6 years ago, my energy was flying. I was on hyper for quite a while, and then it did calm down, and I've been up and down through the process. I did experience in the last year and a half, there was one instance with my kidneys, and it was very painful. It wasn't like what you were talking about. It was more of a severe pain, and it was rather frightening because I didn't know. I mean, I thought it was Kundalini. I didn't know for sure, but I thought it was Kundalini. But it was very painful. But I just did some natural things and drinking, and drinking parsley water is what I've been doing a lot lately. That helps clean out the kidneys, but that was.
Sorry, Eileen. What have you been drinking? What is that?
It's just parsley. I take fresh parsley and I put it in a pan of water and boil it for 10 minutes, and then I drink a glass every day. And I find that to be very helpful. I'm not a doctor, but for me, it's been very helpful. But this one particular instance, that was the most dramatic for me with the kidneys. But it lasted for about a day or so, and then it did subside. And again, I don't necessarily know why it happened, but it did. And what I have to keep reminding myself, as I'm sure many people do, it's the Kundalini. Everything that happens, Kundalini is involved. It's an aspect of the Kundalini. And once I remember that, things seem to get better for me anyway.
No, I think that's spot on. What is it Chrism says? The Kundalini signature, the signature of the Kundalini is in absolutely every aspect of our life. It's upon everything. And so
right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. And I do want to second the notion of the watermelon when it is in season and I can get it. In fact, I think I'm in Florida, and it's coming into season usually in December. At least that's what I remember. And I'm very anxious because when it is in season and I can get it, I will eat half a watermelon every other day. I mean, I eat like a quarter every day, and it's just wonderful. It just makes me feel light. I feel lighter when I eat the watermelon.
I agree with you. It's absolutely amazing. I've heard, I think it was Secret, said recently that she had watermelon and the taste of it was orgasmic.
Yeah.
It actually is. I mean, when we need the watermelon in a Kundalini context to actually bite into the flesh of the watermelon is amazing, isn't it? Have you found that, Rosemary?
I have been able to get watermelon here in Minnesota amazingly through the year since through 2 years. It's and I don't eat so much of it at once. I eat just a small bit at each meal. One of the parts is because of the sugar that's there at one time. I in the past my body hasn't done well with lots of that, so and I actually found it was interesting, the watermelon during the off season was more flavorful than during the summer when we get it here. I think just as the usual time of year. So I did pick one up today, exactly. So I'm.
Well, it's never in season here in Ireland, so it's always imported, you see. So in a way, it's always in season because we have to import it, and therefore, although the gentleman in the store did tell me it wasn't in season, and that's why they don't have so much of it. Just around the energy, and the two of you are saying how energetic that you can feel. Have either of you experienced that slump in energy? That absolute, draining of the energy.
I was just thinking of that, Amelia, as another topic here, the fatigue. I have experienced off and on extreme fatigue to the point of I'll go and I'll be doing things, and then all of a sudden it hits, and I can't go any further. I have to stop. And I have learned, I give myself permission or ask permission of the Kundalini. I say, it's okay that I can stop, and I'm in a situation where I'm able to do that. But that can be rather scary, especially if you have to work or if you have kids and you have obligations. But I've experienced that, and I'm in somewhat of a state of that now, where I have some energy, but then after a certain period of time, I can't go anymore. I just stop. I think that is as valid as the high energy. I'm just looking at the chat room, and Julie says, and I'm going to quote, she says, I can say I have experienced extreme fatigue. Most of the time I am hardwired into spaz mode. However, laughing out loud, I really have to try to tone myself down for other people. I am simply too much energy for most. Good for you, Julie. But isn't it interesting that she also has experienced that extreme fatigue, and indeed so have I. But for the most part, my energy goes in the other way. But having said that, Eileen, I will have to, at some stage during my day, stop, close my eyes, and actually sleep when I'm given to do that. Has any, maybe we could say a little bit about the thyroid. The fifth chakra is, sorry? I was just going to say, I never realized that I had an issue with my thyroid until a couple of years ago, and then I was told after they did some tests that it wasn't working. And I go, okay. And I resisted taking any kind of medication. But then I did finally break down, and I am on a low dose of a thyroid medication. And my numbers are normal now. But I will be, as soon as I settle down some, I'm going to look into getting off of this medication and going more natural. And there are a number. I'm noticing in the newspaper a number of doctors now who are working with the thyroid in a more natural manner, and that's what I will try to do. But the thyroid also, from what I understand, affects that, your energy and your fatigue, and I know it seems I never knew anybody had thyroid issues, and in the last 6 years, this is terrible to say, but just about everyone I've met, women, most of the women I've met have thyroid issues and are either dealing with it on a natural manner or taking some kind of medication. That's been my experience. So.
I suppose everybody knows that the thyroid is fifth chakra. It's the fifth chakra is where the thyroid operates from, and that's an expression of communication, and it is hormone communication as well within the body, and also creativity. And again, Chrism would probably know about the specific hormones that are given for specific levels of this or that within the blood, and there's the parathyroid and all the rest of the endocrine system as well that has a relationship with this, that I again don't understand all of that. But I know that from my own experience too, there are karmic implications, I think, as well with this system. For myself, I have a thyroid issue. It's kind of different in the sense that my thyroid seems to be functioning very well, but I have a nodule, a very large nodule. Now, it's not a goiter, it's a nodule in my thyroid that is there. For whatever reason, it is there. And I also have a lot of blockages, and I know karma associated with this area of my communication and expression. And so I am not having the operation that is being recommended. They recommend that that I should get this out because it's a single nodule, and this is the one that may go cancerous, blah, 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 blah. Now I have got a biopsy and it's not, and all of that, and I will keep an eye on it because we have a responsibility to do that. But at the same time, I feel that the Kundalini there's a lot of work going on for me in my thyroid, and so at the moment I am opening and surrendering and working kind of with the Kundalini in this area. I know that things like if we live near to the sea, our iodine levels and things are probably better than if we live right in the middle of the United States. And I know that healthy eating and food and all of those sorts of things are connected in as well. So I think a positive attitude as well is important, guys, to what has been given for us to do and surrender to.
I agree. Is Rosemary still on?
Yes, I am. I'm thinking of, for myself, I haven't had, that I've noticed, those kinds of things. And I probably would be struggling with reaching out to people that I've used in the past that have helped me be able to find foods for symptoms of things, so that I don't rely on the medical profession for that. And yes, I'm not sure, being very new to all this, I'm not sure what the path one would take in finding a Kundalini answer. Maybe the two of you could share that with me, because
Okay, that's a good point. I mean, okay, so for me at this stage, I have given my life to the Kundalini, really. I mean, it's in charge of my life. It's in charge of, you know, all my health and and the stuff that is going on. So I do surrender all of this to the Kundalini, and I trust the Kundalini. And the medical model is not the first thing that I will look at all, because I really feel that part of our activation, part of the process that is going on, the work that the Kundalini is doing with us in the transformation that is going on, it is so complicated in a way. The Kundalini is working with our chakras. There's energetic exchanges going on, communication, say, of that variety. And the Kundalini is a divine source. It just begins to make changes in the body that I know I don't fully understand. And I'm very open to not understanding and to trusting the process that is going on. I take responsibility by, you know, eating well, by doing the things that I know will contribute to looking after my body, because I do see it as a temple. I do see it as being the temple for the Kundalini, because it is very real and present within my body. So, yeah, just that, yeah, okay. I'm stopping now because I feel I'm beginning to waffle. I suppose go on. Does that kind of answer it, Rosemary?
Yes, and I guess what I would probably do with one of those symptoms, it just would send off an urgent message to Chrism to help me and to give me that guidance of what there is to do, or to interpret what's happening. And the one thing recently he just had sent, that when you're not sure or that you're tempted to fear, just come into devotion to me and your Kundalini and trust the process. So I'm remembering that as would certainly be true anytime.
Oh, yes, I would agree.
And if there's very dramatic physical changes, I'm trusting that I would know it's Kundalini and not go rushing off to a doctor, because I don't do that mostly anyway. But I'm trusting that I would know that he's the one I would need to talk to.
Yeah, and very often, you know, I think things come along as well to offer us choice, to offer us the option of fear, and to offer, I mean, I'm getting that at the moment, because there are a lot of changes going on in my throat that are not connected to the nodule at the moment, that there's a lot of pressure and pain and a lot of other things that are going on. And I know that it is Kundalini related, but that doesn't mean that, you know, my ego personality is 100% going along with that. So I do have choices that I have to make, and devotion and trust, as you said, Rosemary, is one of the things that makes a difference. And the Kundalini will give me feedback. I mean, as this began to happen for me recently, I am receiving feedback from my Kundalini that I am on the correct path and that I am making the correct choices. And this comes through, you know, infusions of bliss, or what I call whooshes, direct communications. And I have been in communication, obviously, with my teacher as well in relation to it. But devotion to the Kundalini is the thing that it would be my primary response now, Rosemary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. I don't see the things now as these aren't bad symptoms that are going on at all. These are just what needs to happen at this particular time for the transformation and for the clearing of the blockages that are being done at this particular time. So, yeah, it's all good. And, you know, we have to go, isn't it Chrism says we have to go 50% of the way with the Kundalini. We actually do. We have to go out, don't we? And take responsibility, eat as best we can, stay active, and all of those things as well. We can't just, you know, lie back and say, I surrender. We have to actively practice the safeties and do all those kinds of things as all of this is going on. Anybody else in the chat room there? I see that Sadie is saying, one second now, I'm going to scroll up. Okay, give me 2 seconds now. Okay, so Julie says, as for my thyroid, I believe mine works fine also, but I do have a lump or something around the thyroid, and I also get a pain there every once in a while. And then and I mean, again, that is how mine actually began as well, and I got that. I actually did go and get it looked at and got a diagnosis of what was going on from a medical perspective, and then chose to go down a different route. Sadly says, seaweed and kelp used to be a big part of my diet, but not in the past years. Iodine for thyroid. I wonder if I have the thyroid problem. This keeps coming up. Feel tired and sluggish and can't lose weight. I know that there are, I think Chrism actually wrote something very recently about thyroid and what we can do to help our thyroid. Yeah, and there are herbs. And can you say something about that, Eileen? You have a good memory for that kind of thing.
No, I would have to look up the article, but I just posted it not too long ago, I think on the Facebook group. I'll try to find it here.
Yeah, that would be great, and we could post something about the thyroid, because really I do think it's something that comes up for people all the time, you know.
Yes.
In terms of its, let's say, its functioning, and in terms of fifth chakra, communications and that. And Sadie also says, my sixth chakra also is a problem. I felt that years ago, being afraid to speak, working on this. Yeah. Fifth chakra is a big one for me as well. Even though people don't believe it, it is, because it's even more than speaking. It's about being able to speak our truth or express. Sorry?
I did find the article. I found it's called Thyroid, Iodine, a Kundalini Perspective.
Very cool, Eileen. That's fantastic. And there's one you wrote on herbs. That's the
let
one
me
on
see.
herbs.
I'm looking what we eat and how we eat and what.
I remember I posted something. Anyway, if you're.
Oh, and you mentioned the sea, and it says here. Can I just read this sentence?
Oh,
if we live close to the sea, then our iodine will be fine. If we partake of seafood sources, organic, non-farm. If we have dairy availability, so then, two, shall we have a strong iodine intake if we partake of the fruits of the dairy industries, organic. Let me see if there's, I'm trying to read through it pretty fast here. He lists many things this is, just a very good overall article.
Okay. Well, will you post that after the show on Facebook and Yahoo?
I will post it. He does say plenty of sunshine and exercise, as you had said, Amelia. Positive emotional and mental outlook as much as you can. Do this by laughing for at least 5 minutes a day.
Okay.
Even if it is forced laughter, the body will still produce positive endorphins that will assist your daily mental, emotional, and physical health. This is a very good in-depth article that he wrote. Oh, and here, this is where, Amelia, it's almost like you were quoting this. It says, but remember that you have to go at least 50% of the way. That is your responsibility. Eat as best you can. Stay as active as is healthy for you. Clean air, sunshine, laughter, meditation, the safeties protocols for Kundalini, and listen to the Kundalini speak to you or through your teacher specifically for you. Now, you two have been saying exactly this same thing.
That is what we've been saying, actually. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. Will you post that, so Eileen? That would be really great, because that would cover things that we have certainly missed here. And it'll be great. Okay, fantastic.
I will.
Okay, so what else, guys? We've kind of covered about the sleep. I really can't say anything about the liver myself. Would either of you have any?
No,
No. Okay. What about the pineal gland? I mean, I can say a little bit about that in the sense that the sixth chakra. I wonder if that's what Diva was speaking about. She actually said my sixth chakra was also a problem, not her fifth. The sixth chakra is the third eye, isn't it? Am I right?
Hmm?
Eileen and Rosemary?
The sixth.
I
You
think
said
so.
the sixth.
Yeah, the sixth chakra. So we're talking it's the pineal gland is connected there with the sixth chakra. Yes. Aha, Vashti says yes. Thank you, Vashti. Why don't you ring in, Vashti? Because you've phoned in on other occasions, and maybe you could have a chat with us on air.
That would be great, Vashti.
Yeah, it would be wonderful to hear you. So yes, the pituitary gland too. So there are changes in that, because obviously that's the gland that actually lights up. It's the one that we can actually see at times, that people can see when they close their eyes and they look up. For me, I've heard Chrism speaking about having the eyelids removed, that you can see this light all the time. For me, that actually hasn't occurred. I have seen the light, and it has stayed with me for periods of time, but it does not stay all the time with me. 1 second now. And of course, then there's the issues of, what's that stuff, fluoride in the water, and calcification of the pituitary gland. This might be Vashti. Hello, is that you, Vashti?
Indeed it is.
Hi.
Indeed.
Welcome.
Good evening, Reverend ladies. How are you? How are you all? And everyone in the chat room. I was just listening, and I was enjoying it. I dare say I was enjoying it as much as when Master C is on, but there was so much information coming through. I most recently had been struggling with what I guess is my base chakra, and I was busily over here trying to think about how that has something to do with the metabolism. Perhaps someone might have some insight on this. My first chakra has generated a great deal of pain throughout my hip area as well as my legs. So I'm having a hard time getting around. However, I guess at 63 it's not not difficult to find something that might be going wrong.
I can relate.
At any rate, that has been my experience most recently, and it's strange that the last talk that Chrism gave was, I think, based on emotions and how they things that we have to forgive. I can't remember exactly. I'm sorry?
Blockages you had talked about.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Must be Rosemary. Yes. So apparently, whatever I had done while out in the yard, because here in the Midwest is leaf time. The trees are generating a lot of leaves on the ground, and I live on one of the streets where everyone is very meticulous about keeping their yard clean and just very, 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 very in order. And I've had to suck down my ego and say, listen, you can't do that right now. And so my leaves are collecting, and each time I walk the dog, I have to push the ego back down and say, okay, it's going to be all right. If they really want the leaves to go away, they'll just come and get them themselves. So, but this thing of, I know I spoke to Chrism about this, and he says that may be something connected with the sacred feminine. And I searched back through my memories, and I realized that I was harboring some deep-seated emotions about my mother and the way that I was raised, and sort of what can be considered a dysfunctional family, and it alleviated the pain for a while, but it returned. So my take from that is that there is a lot more work that I need to do with Kunalini in that area. I don't know if someone has some insight on what I can do about this pain and lack of being able to be mobile without my cane. And, of course, that doesn't trouble me either, because this is a long-standing illness that I've dealt with on and off. But it is something that I've been dealing with. And, of course, I'm happy in one way and frustrated in another. I'm happy because I know that I'm moving forward, but I'm unhappy that there's something that I left uncovered.
Okay. I would say, Vashti, that the difference was forgiveness when you came to realize that there were issues there, from the past with the feminine, with the feet. Is it forgiveness that made a difference before you felt it return? Yeah. It's like you move forward 2 steps and then you slip back again and you realize there's more work to be done.
Exactly. Precisely.
Yeah. I would have experienced that as well, Vashti, and for me, it's about forgiveness is the key. It's a matter of just doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it over and over. And sometimes the exact same forgiveness, but then another aspect of it suddenly turns up that I wouldn't have seen. It's almost like it's looked after once we go down the forgiveness route, and once we're committed to doing that, it has a momentum, I feel, of its own that will bring us as far as we can go. and it makes a huge difference. I don't know if that will mean that you can throw away the cane. I don't know. But
well,
who knows, I mean, you're not doing it for that reason in a way, are you? You kind of said that in a way. It's like, it's like this thing that is physically present to remind you in a way that this work needs to be done. Or at least I am probably projecting what's going on for me at the moment with my throat. That's how I see my throat. And I can't say that is,
Yes. I think you're right on target. But in addition to that, I want to say that I know that Master C had recently posted something on Facebook. I don't know if he did it on the Yahoo group because we're having such problems with that site right now. But that of grounding and how it's so important to be grounded. I don't know if anyone remembers the picture that he posted with these roots coming out of the bottom. As this,
I do, yes.
Yes. Well, it's also tied in with that.
Will you describe that for people? It was a picture of a tree.
Yes. Well, it looked as though it was the spine growing roots from this figure of a lady into the ground, and how I could relate to that, because I believe that has a lot to do with the pain that I've been experiencing in my hips and legs. Is that I need to work on that as well. And as a matter of fact, I was just holding on to some objects from the Native American tradition called moji balls, and attempting to ground. And it seems to be working to some degree, and I'm very grateful for that.
I really liked that as well, Sashchi, because it showed a lady. I think as almost like a tree. I think she was sitting down, and the roots were coming from her hip area right into the ground, and then you imagine it's like the trunk of a tree going up where her spine is, and then as the Kundalini rises as well, remember that it goes up through the pituitary, up through and fountains out of the fontanelle, and that was like the tree, wasn't it? The top of the tree. And I think I posted something about when the roots are deep as well, we sway.
Yes.
That's Diva is after saying here, it's actually Julie. She says, I can relate to that. I have 3 places on my left side that cause me pain. So I think that's relating to what you've been saying, Sashchi, yes.
Yes,
and Sashchi says, forgiveness, yes, a huge one, the key.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
I was thinking that today. And I think it is. I think it's the pivotal, it's the key, that it's the master key, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I want to jump in.
And Sashchi says, I work on grounding every day. Mantra, music, incense, massage oils help me. And she also does remember that picture.
Yes.
So that's, mantra, music, incense, to actively work on our grounding like that, Sashchi. Thanks, Sashchi.
Yes.
Is that Eileen coming in there?
I wanted to ask a question. Make a comment. One of the things for me, Fashi, you mentioned pain, and I have, because of my surgery, I have hip pain, and what I have done, I agree that forgiveness is a major part of this and does have an effect, but for me, also what I have found is movement. I try to exercise in a pool every day. And by moving that hip, I find ways, it's actually my hip and my whole leg. I find ways to move it, like to counteract the pain. And I was just, as you two were discussing, to me, we may have said that a little before, it's hand in hand. We go 50% of the way. So to me, it's not just 50% working on the forgiveness, but also in being active. The movement, to me, is part of it, and that has made a tremendous difference. When I have that back pain or whatever, the more I move, the better I feel.
Good.
So I don't know. I was just wondering.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect because I try to walk the dog every day, and we get a nice walk going on. But I notice that every time I stop moving, then the pain will return. Is that what you found, Eileen?
Well, after I do the movement, after I do the exercising, I feel really good, and it doesn't hurt nearly as much. But it's a constant. You know, Chrism has said this before. It's constant. You can't just do a little bit and then stop. It's constant, every day, some kind of movement. And the other thing, this is just my experience, is I wear leggings at night. I live in Florida. It can get really hot down here, but I cover my legs, and that has made such a difference. I mean, I'm just throwing that out. It's just everybody has their own thing, but So to me, it's not just working with the Kundalini. Well, it's not working with the Kundalini, but on many aspects. So there's the forgiveness, there's the movement, there's the positive thinking. It all kind of meshes together, and then being willing to try whatever to see what works for you. I mean, that's just where I'm coming from. I'll stop now.
That's wonderful. I'll have to keep that in mind. However, I don't think I'll be wearing leggings, but
My father wore socks on his legs every night because his legs would hurt.
Really?
So yes.
Okay.
It works it's worked for him and worked for me. So.
Yes.
Very good. That's
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Here at thanks, Al. I'm looking here at the chat room again, and Julie has a question. Oh, and it just popped. I have to scroll down 2 seconds. It says, okay, what if we do not know what we are to forgive, such as pain in the fourth chakra area? What am I to forgive? So, so the fourth chakra would be in the heart area, and pain in the heart area, can certainly be, of course, about forgiveness. It can be about so many things. I know that for me, I had fourth chakra. I've had a lot of fourth chakra stuff as well, and I didn't go to the ER, but I certainly had hospital visits because of, palpitations, and also because of ectopic heartbeats and actual pain in my chest. And fourth chakra is connected into expansions, I think, in our heart and changes that the Kundalini is bringing in. And sometimes we actually can't identify, I think, specifically what it is that we are to forgive. And this is where I haven't done the recapitulation for a long time, Julie, but at the beginning of my process, when I became aware of this information, I began to write down specific things, and not necessarily completely connecting it in, kind of going, okay, now I need to forgive my mother X, because that's what my pain is about. It was about being about opening my heart and about opening to the forgiveness. And I began to pick people that I know caused me pain and that I know I caused them pain as well. So I will take my mother because, us mothers, we are the cause of everything, aren't we? Anyway, so I would have picked my mother and I would have began to write down, specific things that came to me. And not a huge long list. I would have just maybe written a couple of things, and I would have, with complete sincerity, forgiven my mother for X, for things that she would have done when I was younger. And the response to that in me wasn't always, that's done. There would have been, it wasn't that easy sometimes. And even the ones that were easy, I would find then that the process I was talking to with strategy about would come back. I would begin, it developed a momentum of its own, and things began to come to me that I wouldn't have had a conscious awareness of, if that makes sense. So as I began to do that recapitulation and the writing down, it gathered a momentum of its own. So that's what I'd say, Julie. If you don't know what the blockages are, or what needs to be forgiven, but you do know that there's forgiveness needed, well, pick a person, and you know that there will have been hurts and things in the past, and begin to recapitulate some of those things, and trust that the Kundalini will show you, because again, the pain is there for a reason. Not only are there physiological changes happening in the heart and in that whole area, but it is also there, as I see it anyway, as a reminder to do the work. So that's what I would suggest anyway. Would Rosemary, Fashti is gone. Would Rosemary or Eileen?
I'm here.
Rosemary, is that you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think I mentioned last time about the pain in my shoulder, and Krista mentioned taking on the weight of the world, and I realized that I did that at a very early age. And when I did that forgiveness prayer, and just saw that I thought I had forgiven that, but apparently I didn't, there was a difference. And now and then I can feel it there again, so I know. I think there's a wanting to know more exactness, but that statement just made earlier about forgiveness is just the answer. And what I did there with my mom was to take on more of the whole general picture, not specific things, but that it was just the way it was, and it was in the family and my father's family that we lived in the middle of, and just that it was the way it was. And I know as a child I very early made a judgment it shouldn't be this way. So
yeah.
And I think maybe even the processes of life, just getting older, it's just the way it is.
Yes, and sometimes as well, I would have found that there is no need to actually know specifics, and that forgiveness can actually happen without knowing exactly what. I know that there are things in my past that I actually do not have to go back into again, and forgiveness has occurred with that as well. Thanks for that, Rosemary. I'm looking here at Julie, and she said, yes, that is actually, that sounds about like what I do. Possibly I need to dig deeper, and I suppose maybe not so much actively digging deeper, although I'm not suggesting don't do that, but also maybe just doing more of the forgiveness in the way that you were speaking of there, Rosemary, too, just doing more and more of the forgiveness, and finding that of itself brings a solution to what's going on. And she says, one other question, if pain is on the left side, would the forgiveness need to be with the feminine, right side, forgiveness with the masculine? This now is when I really want Chrism to be here. I just cannot answer that directly, but
The left side is the feminine, and the right side is the masculine. So that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
One other thing I just want to throw out, and I could be all wet. I was just sitting here thinking, as you're talking about recapitulation, that for me, I'm finding often that by giving service, and I don't know how to explain this, but it seems to happen. The more I do for others, and the more I'm out and about and talking to people and sharing and listening to them, there's a process that occurs that I feel goes right along with forgiveness. It's like you were saying, Amelia. It's like it happens. Sometimes it happens and you don't even realize that it's happening, and you don't even have to know why. But anyway, that came to mind as you were speaking.
I think that's hugely important, Eileen. I totally agree with you that, when we reach outside of ourselves and we give, what you're doing is giving love to another person. You're reaching out in service, and giving of yourself. When we go outside of our own selves, I think that is hugely powerful thing to do. It's amazing, really, the effect that has, even though we do not do it for the effect, if you know what I mean.
Right.
We don't do it in order to achieve anything. We do it out of love and service, but it is amazing. What a healing thing that can be for us, or at least that's what I find too for myself. And so connecting it in with an aspect of forgiveness makes absolute sense to me too. And just to go back there to what Julie was saying, I think pain on the left side is associated with definitely with the feminine, divine feminine, and the right with the masculine. But also it might be telling us that we need to, not just about forgiveness, maybe we need to also give attention to the feminine, to the divine female, to the divine male aspect in our lives. And so let's say if there's something going on the right-hand side of the body, well then, not just forgive male aspects, but look at how we can honor. I've heard Chrism speaking about this, and it applied to me at one stage, how to actually honor the divine male that is part of us, and how to honor the divine female in our lives. So that would be maybe another aspect. When I pause, I'd like you two to come in.
I wish, I wish Chrism was near a phone where he could call in. He could just call in and that direction.
I have no doubt, Rosemary. I have no doubt that if he could, he would. I have no doubt. He's just in a position where he can't, because he would do that, if he could. So I would love if he could as well, and I'm sure he will do the show again.
Yes.
Which would be wonderful, because it's actually, this whole thing about metabolism, I'm beginning to realize more and more, it actually permeates everything, doesn't it?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, it certainly does. And so let's see how much time. Do you know what? We haven't done badly at all. We've been on for what time is it now? I'm 12:30 here. We've been on for about an hour and a half. So,
Amelia, I just want to say that I think you've been doing very well. You really are doing well. So, I applaud you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you very much. As are you, and I'm very grateful for you and for Rosemary being here and co-hosting this, and also thank you very much to Vashti. I'm going to read out what Julie says. And thank you, Julie, for your contribution, and Sadie as well. And she says, okay, she says she will save the question for Chrism. And she says, I do this every day, several times a day, give love and blessing and forgiveness for things I see, etc. I do have issues with females. I get along with males better than females. Maybe this is an issue. Yeah, you see, isn't it wonderful when we get an insight into that sort of thing, and we can stop and go, okay. I mean, it's great to be able to say you get along better with males than females, and maybe this is an issue because, you know, it possibly is Julie, and you can do something about it. Sadie says, thank you so much. Love you, gals. Feel so much love to you. Thank you, Sadie, and to you as well. So, guys, okay, an hour and a half. I'm just going to check and see, is there anything else at the moment? Does anything else around metabolism come to either of you?
No, I can't. I can't think of anything else.
Okay. Rosemary?
No, thank you. I'm just, again, with the others, thanking you, Amelia, and you're very generous with your experience and your wisdom and kind, and that's just a blessing to all, and that's a gift, and that's an inspiration.
Well, thank you very much, Rosemary, and thank you to you as well, and thank you to Chrism for this topic. And I suppose to sum up, I mean, I can't really sum up, but just to say that the Kundalini does come, and it does change the way that we metabolize in our bodies. And if all the listeners tune in again next week, then we will hear Chrism talk about this from a different aspect than you know, a broader aspect perhaps, and with new information than we spoke about. So thanks, guys. Bye, Eileen.
Goodbye. Thank you very much. Goodbye, Rosemary.
Thank you,
Goodbye,
Eileen. Bye, Rosemary. And goodbye in the chat room to everybody, to Sadie, to Vashti, to Brandon. Hi, Brandon. To Julie, and to the other guests that have the numbers. And thank you for your kind comments. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.